I am Lieutenant Colonel Victoria Sterling, 34 years old, and last Christmas my father called me a complete failure in front of our entire family. 3 hours later, CNN interrupted their holiday programming to announce that I had just become the youngest five-star general in United States military history. The promotion orders that would vindicate everything I had sacrificed were already signed and sealed, but my family had no idea that their disappointment was about to transform into shock, pride, and a profound understanding of what true dedication actually costs. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. Growing up in Millbrook, Connecticut, I was surrounded by the kind of affluence that makes certain assumptions about what constitutes a successful life. Our colonial estate sat on 12 manicured acres in one of the most exclusive communities in Fairfield County, where my father, Richard Sterling, had built his reputation as the managing partner of Sterling, Morrison and Associates, one of the most prestigious investment firms on the East Coast. My mother, Catherine Sterling, embodied the perfect corporate wife archetype. She served on the boards of 3 major charities, organized fundraising galas that regularly raised 7 figures for various causes, and maintained a social calendar that read like a who's who of Connecticut's political and financial elite. Their marriage was a partnership in the truest sense, with each spouse contributing to a carefully constructed image of success that opened doors throughout the Northeast Corridor. My younger brother, Christopher, followed the prescribed path with remarkable precision. He attended Phillips Exeter Academy, graduated summa cum laude from Harvard with a degree in economics, and joined our father's firm immediately after completing his MBA at Wharton. By age 30, he was managing portfolios worth hundreds of millions of dollars and living in a Tribeca penthouse that cost more than most people earn in a decade. My younger sister, Elizabeth, chose the socially acceptable alternative route for women in our circle. She married Jonathan Whitmore III, heir to a shipping fortune, immediately after graduating from Vassar with a degree in art history. She divided her time between their estates in the Hamptons and Martha's Vineyard, raising their 3 children while serving on museum boards and organizing charity events that kept her name in the society pages. The Sterling family success story was built on clear expectations that had been established through generations of accumulated wealth and social position. Education at elite institutions was mandatory, marriage within appropriate social circles was expected, and career choices were limited to law, finance, medicine, or suitable nonprofit leadership position. Deviation from this template was not rebellious teenage experimentation, but rather evidence of fundamental character defects that reflected poorly on the family's judgment and value. From earliest childhood, I demonstrated the kind of independence and determination that worried my parents rather than pleased them. While Christopher focused on academic excellence that would prepare him for business leadership, I was drawn to physical challenges and competitive activities that seemed inappropriate for someone destined to move within elite social circles. I excelled at athletics with an intensity that made my mother uncomfortable during parent conferences at Greenwich Academy. Tennis and sailing were acceptable pursuits for young women of our background, but my passion for soccer, track and field, and martial arts suggested interests that would not translate well into the kind of social environments where my future was expected to unfold. My academic performance was exceptional, but my course selections consistently disappointed my parents. While they encouraged advanced placement classes in economics, literature, and foreign languages that would prepare me for liberal arts education at an Ivy League institution, I gravitated toward mathematics, physics, and computer science with a focus that seemed unnecessarily technical for someone whose eventual career would likely center on managing inherited wealth or supporting a husband's professional ambition. The first serious conflicts emerged during my junior year at Greenwich Academy when I began researching military service academies instead of focusing on applications to Harvard, Yale, Princeton, and the other institutions where Sterling family members had maintained legacy admissions advantages for 3 generations. My father's initial reaction was to dismiss my interest in military service as teenage rebellion that would resolve itself once I understood the realities of what such a career would mean for my social position and future marriage prospect. He arranged meetings with family friends who had attended the institutions where he expected me to apply, confident that exposure to the opportunities available through traditional elite education would redirect my focus toward more appropriate goals. My mother approached the situation with characteristic diplomatic sophistication, organizing social events where I would interact with young women who had followed conventional paths successfully. She introduced me to recent graduates of prestigious universities who had married well or secured positions with respected cultural institutions, hoping that exposure to role models would inspire more conventional aspirations. However, my research into military academies only intensified my determination to pursue service rather than abandoning it. I spent countless hours studying the curricula, honor codes, and career opportunities available through West Point Annapolis and the Air Force Academy. The combination of rigorous academic challenge, physical training, leadership development, and service to country represented everything I found compelling about potential career. While the conventional paths my family preferred seemed to offer only comfortable mediocrity disguised as social success, the application process created the most serious family conflict we had ever experienced. My parents refused to provide financial information required for academy applications, hoping that practical obstacles would force me to pursue conventional college admissions instead. They declined to write the parental recommendation letters that formed part of the application requirements, and they refused to support my requests for congressional nominations that were essential for academy admission. Christopher attempted to mediate between my determination and our parents' opposition, but his loyalty ultimately aligned with family expectations rather than my individual aspirations. He warned me repeatedly about the social and financial costs of military service, emphasizing that officer salaries would never provide the lifestyle I had grown up expecting, and that military wives faced social isolation within the circles where our family maintained their status. Elizabeth was more directly dismissive of my military interests, suggesting that my fascination with service represented an immature desire for attention rather than genuine calling toward meaningful work. She frequently reminded me that women in military service faced discrimination and harassment that would be entirely avoidable through conventional career choices, and that my insistence on pursuing such an obviously difficult path reflected poor judgment about my own interests and capability. The tension reached a breaking point during my senior year when I received congressional nominations to both West Point and the Naval Academy, despite my family's lack of support. I had cultivated relationships with local political leaders through volunteer work and community service activities, demonstrating the kind of leadership potential and community commitment that nomination committees valued in prospective. My father's reaction to news of the nominations was a mixture of anger and disappointment that shocked me with its intensity. He accused me of embarrassing the family by pursuing opportunities that would require financial assistance from the government rather than utilizing the resources and connections that 3 generations of Sterlings had accumulated to provide advantages for their children. He pointed out that academy graduates incurred service obligations that would prevent me from attending graduate school or pursuing advanced degrees during the prime years when my peers would be establishing their careers and social positions. He emphasized that military service would delay marriage and family formation in ways that could permanently affect my ability to find an appropriate spouse and maintain the social relationships that provided stability and meaning for women in our background. Most painfully, he questioned whether my insistence on military service reflected ingratitude for the advantages I had been given and lack of appreciation for the sacrifices previous generations had made to ensure that Sterling family members would never need to depend on government employment or accept the limitations that came with public service careers. The final argument occurred in March of my senior year, 3 weeks before I needed to accept or decline the academy appointments I had received. My father presented me with an ultimatum that was designed to force a choice between family support and individual ambition. He offered to pay full tuition at any university I chose, provide a generous living allowance throughout my college years, and guarantee me a position at his firm after graduation, with the understanding that accepting military appointments would result in complete withdrawal of financial and emotional support from the entire family. My mother supported this ultimatum with the explanation that enabling me to make what she considered a serious mistake about my future would constitute parental failure rather than respect for my independence. She emphasized that their responsibility was to guide me toward decisions that would provide long-term happiness and stability stability rather than supporting choices that seemed exciting but would ultimately limit my opportunities and social position. Christopher and Elizabeth both urged me to accept our parents' generous offer, arguing that I could always pursue military interests through Reserve Officer Training Corps programs at civilian universities or through volunteer activities that would satisfy my desire for service without foreclosing conventional career options. The decision I made that spring would set the trajectory for the next 2 decades of my life and create a rift with my family that seemed irreparable. I accepted the appointment to West Point, declined my parents' financial support, and prepared to enter an environment where my success would depend entirely on my own abilities rather than inherited advantages or family connection. My father's final words before I left for the academy were a prediction that I would realize my mistake within the first year and that the family would welcome me back when I was ready to pursue more realistic goals. He expressed confidence that exposure to the realities of military life would cure me of romantic notions about service and leadership, and that I would eventually appreciate the opportunities I had rejected in favor of what he characterized as an extended form of rebellious self-punishment. My mother's goodbye was more emotional but equally skeptical about my choices. She worried about the physical and psychological challenges that military training would present and expressed doubt about my ability to succeed in an environment designed to break down individual identity in favor of institutional conformity. She feared that the independence and determination that had led me to pursue military service would actually work against me in a system that demanded absolute obedience and subordination of personal preferences to organizational needs. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel, it means a lot to us. Now back to the story. As I packed my belongings for the journey to West Point, I understood that I was not simply choosing a college or career path but rather selecting an entirely different life trajectory that would take me far from the world where my family found meaning and success. The confidence I projected masked genuine uncertainty about whether I possessed the strength and resilience necessary to succeed without the support systems that had always been available to cushion the challenges and setbacks that were inevitable parts of any ambitious pursuit. However, beneath the uncertainty was a deeper conviction that the path I was choosing offered opportunities for growth, service, and contribution that were not available through conventional. Military service represented the chance to test myself against demanding standards, to lead others in meaningful work, and to contribute to something larger than personal advancement or social position. The drive to West Point took me through landscapes that seemed to symbolize the transition I was making from comfortable predictability to challenging uncertainty. The familiar affluence of Connecticut gave way to the more varied communities of New York State, where people pursued success through different definitions and worked toward goals that extended beyond the narrow parameters of elite social expectation. As the Academy's imposing granite buildings came into view, I felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension that would characterize the next 4 years of education and training. I was about to enter an environment where my family's wealth and connections would provide no advantage, where my success would depend entirely on my ability to meet demanding physical, academic, and leadership standards, and where the support network I had always taken for granted would be replaced by relationships built through shared challenges and mutual dependence. The Sterling family disappointment in my choice would deepen over the following years as I thrived in an environment they considered unsuitable and developed capabilities they did not value. But the foundation for everything that would follow, including the moment 20 years later when my achievements would finally vindicate the sacrifices I had made, was established during those final months of high school when I chose growth over comfort and service over security. The journey that would lead to becoming the youngest 5-star general in American military history began with a teenager's decision to pursue excellence on her own terms rather than accepting the limitations that others, even those who loved her, tried to impose based on their own fears and narrow definitions of appropriate success. The imposing granite walls of the United States Military Academy rose from the Hudson River Valley like a fortress designed to transform ambitious teenagers into principled leaders through 4 years of relentless challenge and unwavering standards. West Point represented more than education institution or military training ground. It embodied a complete philosophical system that would reshape every aspect of my identity while testing whether my determination to serve could withstand the pressures designed to separate genuine calling from temporary enthusiasm. Reception day arrived with the brutal efficiency that would characterize every aspect of academy life. The transition from civilian comfort to military discipline occurred within hours as upperclassmen systematically dismantled the individual identities that new cadets brought from their previous lives. Personal belongings were confiscated, civilian clothing was replaced with standard military-issue uniforms, and the informal communication patterns that had characterized teenage relationships were replaced with rigid protocols that demanded precise acknowledgement of rank and authority. My parents had declined to attend reception day, making their disappointment with my choice clear through their absence during what they considered a misguided departure from family values and expectations. Christopher sent a brief note wishing me success while reiterating his belief that I would recognize my mistake and return to conventional education within the academic year. Elizabeth's communication was more direct, expressing hope that military discipline would cure me of the stubborn independence that had led to such poor decision-making about my future. The absence of family support during this crucial transition forced me to develop internal resilience and self-reliance that would prove essential throughout the demanding years ahead. While many of my classmates drew comfort from parental encouragement and regular communication with supportive families, I learned to find motivation through personal commitment to excellence and dedication to the values that military service represent. Beast Barracks, the intensive summer training program that preceded academic instruction, introduced physical and psychological challenges that exceeded anything I had experienced during my privileged upbringing in Connecticut. The daily routine began before dawn with physical training sessions designed to build endurance, strength, and mental toughness through progressively demanding exercises that pushed every cadet beyond their perceived limitations. Academic instruction during Beast Barracks focused on military history, leadership principles, and ethical frameworks that would provide foundation for the more advanced studies that would follow during the regular academic year. The combination of intellectual challenge and physical demands created constant pressure that revealed character traits and personal resources that remained hidden during comfortable civilian life. The honor code that governed every aspect of academy life demanded absolute integrity in all interactions, academic work, and personal conduct. Cadets were required to adhere to standards that prohibited lying, cheating, stealing, or tolerating such behavior in others, creating an environment where personal character was continuously tested and developed through daily decisions that carried significant consequences. My academic performance during the first semester exceeded expectations in technical subjects while requiring additional effort in areas where my privileged background had not provided adequate preparation. Mathematics, physics, and engineering coursework drew upon analytical skills that I had developed through rigorous high school preparation. But military science and leadership studies demanded new ways of thinking about authority, responsibility, and service that challenged assumptions I had absorbed from my family's focus on individual achievement and personal advancement. Physical training revealed capabilities and limitations that surprised me with their intensity and implications for future military service. The demanding fitness standards required constant attention to cardiovascular endurance, muscular strength, and mental resilience that pushed every cadet toward higher levels of performance than they had previously achieved. The emphasis on teamwork and mutual support during physical challenges created bonds with classmates that transcended the social and economic differences that had seemed important during civilian life. Leadership responsibilities began during the first year through positions that required managing peers and accepting accountability for group performance in academic, military, and athletic activity. These early leadership experiences taught practical lessons about motivation, communication, and decision-making under pressure that complemented theoretical instruction about command principles and organizational effectiveness. The military rank structure that governed daily life at West Point introduced concepts of hierarchical authority and institutional loyalty that differed dramatically from the individualistic values that had shaped my upbringing. Learning to function effectively within structured systems while maintaining personal integrity and independent thinking required constant balance between conformity conformity and leadership that would prove essential throughout my subsequent military career. Regular communication with family during my first year revealed the growing distance between my academy experiences and their expectations about what military education involved. My descriptions of academic rigor, leadership training, and professional development were dismissed as temporary enthusiasm that would fade once I understood the limitations of military careers compared to opportunities available through conventional education and family connection. My father's letters emphasized the financial opportunities I was sacrificing by choosing military service over business education, noting that my classmates at elite civilian universities were already building networks and relationships that would provide advantages throughout their career. He calculated the lifetime earning potential I was forgoing by accepting military compensation rather than pursuing finance or law, presenting detailed analyses that demonstrated the economic irrationality of my educational choice. My mother's correspondence focused on social concerns about military life and its implications for future marriage and family relationships. She worried that military training was developing personal characteristics that would make me unsuitable for the kind of marriage that she considered essential for women from our background, and that my career choices would limit my access to appropriate social circles where lasting relationships could be formed. Christopher's communications became increasingly infrequent as his success at Harvard and subsequent business achievements created lifestyle differences that made our experiences difficult to relate to each other. His letters described internships, networking events, and academic opportunities that emphasized individual advancement and personal wealth accumulation, values that seemed increasingly foreign as I developed commitment to service and institutional loyalty. Elizabeth's responses to my letters about academy life revealed her fundamental misunderstanding of what military education involved and her persistent belief that I was sacrificing feminine identity for masculine pursuits that would ultimately prove unsatisfying. She expressed concern that military training was suppressing natural characteristics that she considered essential for women's happiness and fulfillment in traditional roles. The academic environment at West Point challenged intellectual capabilities through coursework that combined rigorous technical education with leadership studies, military history, and ethical development. The curriculum was designed to prepare officers for complex decision-making responsibilities that would require integration of technical expertise, strategic thinking, and moral reasoning under conditions of uncertainty and pressure. Advanced mathematics and engineering courses provided foundation for understanding modern military technology and systems analysis that would prove essential for effective leadership in increasingly technical military environments. The emphasis on quantitative analysis and scientific methodology complemented leadership studies that focused on human factors and organizational dynamics in ways that prepared cadets for the complexity of modern military operations. Foreign language requirements and international relations coursework reflected the global nature of American military responsibilities and the need for officers who could operate effectively in diverse cultural environments. The combination of linguistic competence and cultural understanding would prove invaluable during subsequent deployments and international assignments that required sophisticated communication and diplomatic skills. Military history instruction provided strategic context for understanding how warfare had evolved and how successful leaders had adapted to changing technological and political conditions throughout history. The study of historical campaigns and leadership decisions created analytical frameworks for approaching contemporary challenges and understanding the continuity of strategic principles across different historical periods. Leadership development occurred through formal coursework and practical exercises that required cadets to assume increasing responsibility for planning, organizing, and executing complex activities under supervision and evaluation. The progression from follower to leader happened gradually through carefully structured experiences that built confidence while revealing areas requiring additional development and refinement. Physical fitness standards maintained throughout 4 years of academy training created foundation for the demanding physical requirements of military service while building mental toughness and resilience that would prove essential during challenging assignments and high-stress situations. The emphasis on personal fitness and team athletics reinforced lessons about preparation, perseverance, and mutual support that translated directly to military operations. The honor system that governed academy life created an environment
environment where integrity was tested daily through academic work, personal relationships, and military duties that required absolute honesty and trustworthiness. Living under constant honor code obligations developed character traits and ethical reflexes that would guide decision-making throughout subsequent military service in situations where personal integrity could affect mission success and subordinate welfare. Summer training between academic years provided exposure to different military branches and specialties through assignments that allowed cadets to observe active duty operations and understand career opportunities available after graduation. These experiences connected classroom learning to real-world military operations while helping cadets make informed decisions about branch selection and career specialization. My first summer assignment with an airborne infantry unit in North Carolina provided introduction to combat arms operations and leadership challenges that would shape my understanding of military service and its demands on personal courage, physical endurance, and tactical competence. Working alongside experienced officers and enlisted personnel taught practical lessons about motivation, communication, and decision-making that complemented academic instruction while revealing the gap between theoretical knowledge and operational reality. The physical demands of airborne training pushed my capabilities beyond limits I had previously tested while building confidence in my ability to meet demanding standards and overcome fear through preparation and mental discipline. Successfully completing jump school alongside male peers proved that dedication and training could overcome physical disadvantages while establishing credibility within military communities that valued demonstrated competence over theoretical qualification. Branch selection during my third year required careful consideration of career interests, personal strengths, and service opportunities that would provide meaningful contribution to national defense while offering professional development and advancement potential. The choice between combat arms, combat support, and combat service support branches reflected different philosophies about military service and different approaches to leadership development and career progression. My decision to pursue military intelligence as my branch specialty combined analytical capabilities that I had developed through academic training with operational responsibilities that would require integration of technical expertise and leadership skills in support of combat operations. Intelligence work offered opportunities to serve in diverse assignments while developing specialized knowledge that would prove valuable throughout an extended military career. The final years at West Point intensified leadership responsibilities through positions that required managing large groups of cadets and accepting accountability for their performance in academic, military, and personal development areas. These experiences taught practical lessons about organizational management, personnel development, and institutional change that would prove essential for subsequent command assignments and staff responsibility. Academic specialization during the final 2 years allowed deeper study of subjects relevant to chosen career fields while maintaining the broad educational foundation that would enable effective communication and decision-making across diverse professional environments. The combination of technical competence and liberal education prepared graduates for the intellectual demands of modern military service while preserving the critical thinking capabilities essential for adapting to changing conditions and requirements. Graduation from West Point represented completion of transformation from privileged civilian teenager to commissioned officer prepared for leadership responsibilities that would affect the lives of subordinates and the success of military operations.
The 4 years of intensive training had developed physical capabilities, intellectual skills, and character traits that would provide foundation for decades of military service while establishing professional identity based on competence, integrity, and commitment to service above self. The commissioning ceremony marked official entry into the United States Army as a second lieutenant, with responsibilities for leading soldiers and executing missions that could affect national security and individual welfare. The oath of office represented commitment to defend the Constitution and serve the American people through military excellence and professional dedication, regardless of personal cost or sacrifice. My family's absence from graduation reflected their continued disappointment with my career choices and their inability to understand what military service represented in terms of personal growth, professional opportunity, and contribution to national security. Their decision to skip this important milestone demonstrated the depth of their disapproval, while reinforcing my independence from family expectations and social pressures. The assignment to my first duty station as a newly commissioned intelligence officer marked the beginning of active military service and the start of a career journey that would test everything I had learned during 4 years of academy training. The transition from cadet to officer required adapting to new responsibilities while continuing to develop leadership skills and technical competence through practical experience and professional education. Looking back 20 years later, the foundation established during those 4 demanding years at West Point proved essential for every subsequent achievement and advancement throughout my military career. The discipline, integrity, and commitment to excellence that were developed through academy training provided the personal and professional resources necessary for meeting increasing responsibilities and leadership challenges that would ultimately lead to historic recognition and validation of choices that my family had considered misguided and inappropriate for someone from background. The sprawling expanse of Fort Bragg, North Carolina, represented the epicenter of United States Army Special Operations and Airborne Forces, where newly commissioned officers discovered whether their academy training had prepared them for the complex realities of military intelligence operations. My assignment to the 82nd Airborne Division Intelligence Battalion thrust me into an environment where theoretical knowledge met operational demands and where leadership potential was tested through real-world challenges that affected mission success and soldier welfare. The transition from West Point's structured academic environment to active duty military service required immediate adaptation to organizational cultures and operational tempo that differed dramatically from cadet life. The intelligence community operated under classification levels and security protocols that limited communication about work activities while demanding absolute discretion and professional competence in handling sensitive information that could affect national security and military operations worldwide. My initial position as an intelligence analyst within the division required mastering technical systems and analytical methodologies that had evolved rapidly during the post-Cold War period. The intelligence discipline demanded integration of human intelligence sources, signals intelligence capabilities, and imagery analysis techniques to provide commanders with actionable information for tactical and strategic decision-making in increasingly complex operational environments. The learning curve during my first months at Fort Bragg exceeded anything I had experienced during academy training, as the combination of technical complexity and operational pressure created demands that tested every aspect of my professional preparation. The intelligence field required continuous education about emerging threats, evolving technologies, and changing geopolitical conditions that affected American military interests across multiple theaters of operation. Working within the intelligence community provided exposure to career military professionals whose experience and expertise far exceeded my own, creating opportunities for mentorship and professional development, while revealing the knowledge gaps that separated recent academy graduates from seasoned intelligence officers. The senior non-commissioned officers and experienced warrant officers, who comprised the backbone of intelligence operations, became invaluable sources of practical knowledge about systems, procedures, and analytical techniques that were not taught in formal military education programs. My first major analytical assignment involved assessing potential security threats in Eastern Europe following the dissolution of the Soviet Union and the emergence of independent nations struggling with political instability and economic transition. The complexity of this analytical challenge required understanding historical context, cultural factor, and emerging political dynamics, while providing timely intelligence support to military planners developing contingency operations for potential humanitarian interventions or peacekeeping missions. The analytical work demanded long hours and intense concentration while requiring coordination with intelligence agencies across the Department of Defense and the broader intelligence community. Learning to work effectively within interagency environments taught valuable lessons about institutional cooperation, information sharing protocols, and the professional relationships that enabled effective intelligence operations in support of national security objectives. Physical fitness requirements remained demanding throughout my assignment at Fort Bragg, as intelligence personnel were expected to maintain the same standards as other members of the Airborne Division, while potentially deploying to forward locations, where physical endurance and combat readiness could become essential for mission accomplishment and personal survival. The emphasis on maintaining combat fitness reflected the reality that intelligence officers might be required to operate in hostile environments, where physical capabilities were as important as analytical skill. Leadership opportunities emerged gradually through assignments that required supervising junior analysts and coordinating intelligence support for training exercises and operational planning. These early leadership experiences taught practical lessons about motivation, communication, and decision-making, while revealing areas where additional development and experience were necessary for effective command performance in more challenging circumstances. The professional military education requirements that accompanied active duty service provided opportunities for advanced study in strategic studies, international relations, and intelligence analysis, while maintaining full-time operational responsibility. The combination of formal education and practical experience created comprehensive professional development that prepared intelligence officers for increasing levels of responsibility and complexity throughout their career. During my second year at Fort Bragg, I received selection for the Military Intelligence Officer Advanced Course, an intensive professional education program that prepared company-grade officers for increased leadership responsibilities and specialized intelligence assignments. The advanced course combined technical training in emerging intelligence capabilities with leadership instruction, focused on command and staff responsibilities at higher organizational level. The advanced course curriculum included instruction in strategic intelligence analysis, counterintelligence operations, and intelligence support to special operations forces, reflecting the expanding scope of intelligence requirements in post-Cold War military operations. The program emphasized critical thinking skills and analytical methodologies that would enable intelligence officers to provide effective support for complex military operations across diverse operational environments. Classmates in the advanced course represented the most promising intelligence officers from across the Army, creating opportunities for professional networking and relationship building that would prove valuable throughout extended military career. The competitive environment encouraged excellence while fostering collaborative relationships that enhanced learning and professional development for all participants. The capstone exercise for the advanced course involved planning and executing intelligence support for a simulated military operation that tested every aspect of our professional training and leadership capability. The exercise required integration of multiple intelligence disciplines while coordinating support for complex military operations under time pressure and resource constraints that reflected real-world operational challenges. My performance during the advanced course earned recognition for analytical excellence and leadership potential, resulting in selection for follow-on assignments that would provide broader experience and increased responsibility within the intelligence community. The competitive selection process validated the foundation established during West Point training, while confirming my potential for advancement to higher levels of leadership and responsibility. Assignment to the Pentagon as a junior staff officer provided exposure to strategic-level intelligence operations and national security decision-making processes that affected military operations worldwide. Working within the Defense Intelligence Agency headquarters introduced me to the complexity of multi-agency coordination and the sophisticated analytical capabilities that supported senior military leaders and civilian policymakers in addressing emerging threats and strategic challenges. The Pentagon assignment required adapting to the unique culture and operational tempo of joint service environments where Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marine Corps personnel worked together to address national security challenges that transcended individual service capabilities and responsibility. Learning to operate effectively within joint environments became increasingly important as military operations required integrated capabilities and coordinated planning across service boundaries. Strategic intelligence analysis at the Pentagon level demanded understanding global political and economic trends that could affect American military interests, while providing timely assessments that supported policy development and resource allocation decisions. The scope and complexity of strategic analysis exceeded anything I had encountered during tactical level assignments, while requiring new analytical skills and broader knowledge base than previous positions had demanded. The professional relationships formed during Pentagon assignments included senior military officers and civilian defense officials whose experience and perspectives provided valuable mentorship and career guidance. These relationships opened doors to advanced assignments and professional opportunities while demonstrating the importance of competence, integrity, and dedication in building trust and credibility within senior leadership circles. Working on classified programs that affected national security required absolute discretion and professional competence, while handling information that could not be discussed with family members or civilian friends. The isolation that accompanied security clearances and classified work created professional bonds with colleagues who shared similar responsibilities, while requiring personal resilience and strong professional identity to maintain motivation and job satisfaction. During my Pentagon assignment, I received selection for advanced civilian education at Georgetown University, where I pursued a master's degree in strategic studies while maintaining full-time military responsibility. The combination of academic study and practical intelligence work provided comprehensive preparation for senior leadership positions, while demonstrating the Army's commitment to developing intellectually capable officers for increasing responsibility. The academic program at Georgetown exposed me to civilian perspectives on national security challenges, while providing opportunities to interact with students from diverse professional backgrounds including diplomacy, journalism, and international business. These civilian interactions broadened my understanding of American foreign policy and military operations, while strengthening communication skills necessary for effective leadership in joint and interagency environments. The master's thesis I completed during graduate studies examined intelligence support requirements for humanitarian operations and peacekeeping missions, reflecting the expanding scope of military operations during the research required analysis of case studies from Somalia, Bosnia, and Haiti, while developing recommendations for improving intelligence capabilities in support of operations other than traditional warfare. My academic performance at Georgetown earned recognition for analytical excellence and original research, while demonstrating intellectual capabilities that complemented practical military experience. The combination of operational experience and advanced education prepared me for senior staff positions and command assignments that would require strategic thinking and sophisticated understanding of complex operational environments. Family communication during these early career years remained limited and strained, as my parents continued to view military service as temporary phase that would eventually be abandoned in favor of more conventional career opportunities. Their letters emphasized civilian employment opportunities that were available through family connections, while expressing disappointment that I had not yet recognized the limitations of military compensation and advancement potential. Christopher's career success in investment banking provided constant comparison point that my parents used to illustrate the financial opportunities I was forgoing through military service. His rapid advancement and substantial income reinforced their belief that conventional career paths offered superior rewards, while military service represented sacrifice without corresponding benefits for someone from our social and economic background. Elizabeth's marriage and family life exemplified the social expectations that my parents maintained for women from our background, creating additional pressure to abandon military service in favor of marriage and family responsibilities that they considered more appropriate for someone of my age and social position. Her contentment with traditional roles reinforced their skepticism about my career choices and their concern about my future personal happiness. The geographic separation that accompanied military assignments limited opportunities for family visits, while the classified nature of my work made it difficult to share professional accomplishments and challenges with family members who lacked security clearances and understanding of military operations. This professional isolation reinforced the emotional distance that had developed since my decision to attend West Point, despite family opposition. My determination to excel within military service intensified as early career successes validated my decision to pursue excellence through dedication and competence, rather than relying on family connections and inherited advantage. The meritocratic nature of military advancement provided opportunities for recognition and advancement based on performance, while reinforcing personal commitment to service above self that had motivated my original decision to attend West Point. Professional recognition, through awards and competitive selections, demonstrated that my academic preparation and leadership development were translating into practical success within military environment. Each achievement validated my career choices while building confidence and reputation within professional circles that valued competence, integrity, and dedication over social connections and family influence. The foundation being established through these early assignments would prove essential for the increasingly challenging positions and leadership responsibilities that lay ahead. The combination of technical expertise, leadership experience, and advanced education created comprehensive preparation for senior positions while establishing professional relationships and reputation that would enable future advancement and recognition. Looking ahead to more demanding assignments and increased responsibilities, I understood that each position would test different aspects of my professional capabilities while contributing to the experience base necessary for eventual command positions and strategic leadership roles. The journey toward senior leadership required sustained excellence across diverse assignments while maintaining personal integrity and commitment to service that transcended individual ambition and career advancement. The early career period at Fort Bragg and the Pentagon established patterns of professional excellence and dedication that would characterize the remainder of my military service, while creating foundation for the achievements that would ultimately validate my decision to pursue military leadership, despite family skepticism and social pressure to choose more conventional paths to success and recognition. The transition from staff assignments to command positions marked the most significant career milestone for any military officer, representing the culmination of years of preparation and the beginning of direct responsibility for soldier welfare and mission accomplishment. My selection for company command within a military intelligence battalion stationed in Germany occurred during a period of increasing international tension and emerging operational requirements that would test every aspect of my leadership development and professional competence. Command selection represented validation of my performance throughout previous assignments, while establishing accountability for the training, welfare, and operational effectiveness of 120 soldiers, whose professional development and personal well-being would become my primary responsibility. The authority that accompanied command positions carried corresponding obligations that extended far beyond technical competence to encompass moral leadership, administrative oversight, and tactical decision-making under conditions of uncertainty and pressure. The military intelligence company I assumed command of specialized in strategic communications intelligence and signals analysis, requiring sophisticated technical capabilities and extensive security protocols, while maintaining readiness for deployment to operational theaters where intelligence support could prove critical for mission success and force protection. The unit's mission demanded integration of advanced technology with human expertise, while operating under classification levels that limited communication about activities and achievement. The soldiers under my command represented diverse backgrounds and varying levels of experience, from recent, basic training graduates beginning their military careers to senior non-commissioned officers with decades of specialized knowledge and operational experience. Effective leadership required understanding individual capabilities and motivations, while developing cohesive team performance that maximized collective effectiveness in support of broader military objectives. Professional relationships with senior non-commissioned officers proved essential for successful command performance, as these experienced soldiers possessed institutional knowledge and technical expertise that complemented my formal education and leadership training. Learning to leverage their experience while maintaining command authority required balancing respect for
for their knowledge, with clear decision-making responsibility that ensured unit effectiveness and mission accomplishment. The administrative responsibilities that accompanied command positions demanded attention to personnel management, training coordination, resource allocation, and regulatory compliance, while maintaining focus on operational readiness and mission effectiveness. The complexity of modern military operations required commanders to function effectively as administrators, trainers, counselors, and tactical leaders, while ensuring that all activities supported broader organizational objectives. Training programs under my leadership emphasized both technical proficiency and professional development, recognizing that effective intelligence operations required continuous education about emerging threats, evolving technologies, and changing operational requirements. The training schedule balanced individual skill development with collective training exercises that prepared the unit for deployment and operational assignments across diverse environments and mission requirements. Physical fitness standards and military bearing remained essential components of unit effectiveness, as intelligence personnel were expected to maintain the same professional standards as other military specialties, while potentially operating in forward locations where physical endurance and military competence could become critical for mission success and personal survival. The emphasis on comprehensive military proficiency reflected the reality that intelligent soldiers might be required to perform diverse functions beyond their primary technical specialty. Security protocols and classification management required constant vigilance and sophisticated administrative procedures to protect sensitive information while enabling effective intelligence operations. The responsibility for maintaining security standards extended to every aspect of unit operations, while ensuring that security requirements did not prevent effective training and mission accomplishment under operational conditions. During my second year of command, emerging international crises created deployment requirements that would test every aspect of our training and preparation, while providing opportunities for operational experience under real-world conditions. The deployment to support operations in the Balkans occurred during a period of ethnic conflict and humanitarian crisis that required military intervention to protect civilian populations and maintain regional stability. The pre-deployment training cycle intensified all aspects of unit preparation, while creating additional pressure to ensure that every soldier possessed the technical skills and professional competence necessary for effective performance under operational conditions. The training program emphasized cultural awareness, language skills, and operational security, while maintaining focus on core intelligence capabilities that would support mission requirements in theater. Family notification and preparation for extended separation created personal challenges that required balancing command responsibilities with individual circumstances, while ensuring that family support systems were adequate for maintaining morale and readiness throughout the deployment period. The emotional demands of deployment affected every member of the unit, while requiring leadership approaches that maintained professional focus while acknowledging personal concerns and family obligations. The deployment environment in Bosnia presented operational challenges that exceeded anything encountered during training exercises, as the combination of ethnic tensions, infrastructure damage, and political uncertainty created complex intelligence requirements while demanding constant attention to force protection and operational security. The mission required providing intelligence support for peacekeeping operations while operating in an environment where traditional distinctions between combatants and civilians were often unclear. Intelligence collection and analysis operations in theater required coordination with international military forces, civilian agencies, and local authorities, while maintaining security protocols and classification management under field conditions that challenged every aspect of our training and preparation. The operational tempo demanded continuous intelligence support while ensuring that security procedures protected sensitive sources and methods from compromise or exploitation, Leadership challenges during deployment exceeded those encountered during garrison operation, as the stress of operational conditions and extended separation from family created pressures that tested unit cohesion and individual resilience, while demanding sustained high performance under demanding circumstances. Effective leadership required understanding individual responses to stress while maintaining unit effectiveness and mission accomplishment despite challenging conditions. The technical challenges of providing intelligence support under field conditions required innovative solutions and adaptive procedures that maintained analytical capabilities while operating with limited infrastructure and communication support. The intelligence requirements demanded creative approaches to collection and analysis, while ensuring that products met timeliness and accuracy standards necessary for effective operational planning and decision. Cultural awareness and local knowledge became essential components of effective intelligence operations, as understanding ethnic dynamics and historical grievances provided crucial context for analyzing threats and assessing operational conditions. The requirement for cultural competence emphasized the importance of language skills and regional expertise, while demonstrating the complexity of modern military operations that required understanding far beyond traditional military consideration. Humanitarian considerations affected all aspects of intelligence operations, as the mission involved protecting civilian populations while supporting military operations that could affect innocent people caught in ethnic conflicts beyond their control. The moral dimensions of intelligence work required careful consideration of operational impacts while maintaining focus on mission requirements and force protection objectives. Operational success during the deployment earned recognition for the unit's performance while validating the training and preparations that had preceded deployment to this challenging operational. The awards and commendations received by individual soldiers reflected their professional competence and dedication, while demonstrating the effectiveness of training programs and leadership approaches that had prepared them for demanding operational requirements. My personal recognition for command performance during deployment included evaluation reports that documented exceptional leadership and operational effectiveness, while recommending advancement to senior leadership positions, requiring greater responsibility and broader scope of operation. The competitive evaluation process validated my command performance while creating opportunities for future assignments that would provide additional challenges and professional development. The post-deployment period required managing the transition back to garrison operations while maintaining unit readiness and addressing individual needs that had emerged during operational deployment. The reintegration process demanded attention to family reunification, individual counseling, and professional development while preparing for future training cycles and potential deployment requirements. Advanced military education opportunities that followed successful command performance included selection for the Command and General Staff College, an intensive program that prepared field-grade officers for senior staff positions and higher-level command assignments. The selection process was highly competitive and represented validation of command performance while providing preparation for increased responsibilities and broader operational scope. The educational program at Fort Leavenworth combined military history, strategic studies, and leadership development while providing opportunities for interaction with officers from all military services and international military forces. The curriculum emphasized joint operations, strategic planning, and institutional leadership while preparing graduates for positions that required sophisticated understanding of complex military operations and interagency coordination. Research projects during the Staff College program focused on intelligence support requirements for emerging operational concepts and technological developments that were reshaping military operations during the post-Cold War period. The academic work required analysis of historical case studies while developing recommendations for improving intelligence capabilities in support of evolving mission requirements and strategic challenges. Graduation from the Command and General Staff College with academic distinction earned recognition for intellectual achievement while demonstrating the analytical capabilities and strategic thinking that would be required for senior leadership positions.
The academic performance validated the combination of operational experience and advanced education, while creating opportunities for assignments that would provide broader experience and increased responsibility. Assignment to senior staff positions, at division and corps levels, provided exposure to strategic planning and operational coordination that affected military operations across large geographical areas and multiple subordinate units. The scope and complexity of senior staff work required understanding resource allocation, strategic communications, and interagency coordination, while supporting commanders responsible for major military operations and institutional development. The professional relationships formed during senior assignments included general officers and senior civilian officials whose experience and perspectives provided valuable mentorship while creating networks that would prove essential for future advancement and recognition. These relationships demonstrated the importance of professional competence and personal integrity in building trust and credibility within senior leadership circles that influenced career advancement and assignment opportunities. Family communication during this period remained strained despite professional success and recognition, as my parents continued to view military achievements as temporary accomplishments that would eventually be abandoned in favor of civilian career opportunities that offered greater financial rewards and social recognition. Their inability to understand the significance of military command and operational success reflected their fundamental misunderstanding of what military service represented in terms of professional achievement and contribution to national security. The foundation established through success command performance and advanced military education created preparation for the senior leadership positions that would follow while demonstrating sustained commitment to excellence and service that transcended individual ambition and personal advancement. Each assignment contributed essential experience while building reputation and competence necessary for eventual advancement to general officer ranks and strategic leadership responsibility. The assignment to the Pentagon as a senior staff officer within the Defense Intelligence Agency marked a fundamental transition from tactical and operational leadership to strategic planning and national security policy development. The massive five-sided building that housed the Department of Defense represented the epicenter of American military power and global strategic planning, where decisions affecting worldwide military operations were formulated through complex interagency coordination and sophisticated analytical processes that required exceptional intellectual capabilities and institutional knowledge. Working within the Pentagon's strategic environment demanded understanding of global political dynamics, economic factors, and technological developments that influenced American national security interests across multiple theaters of operation. The scope of responsibilities required analytical capabilities that extended far beyond traditional military considerations to encompass diplomatic relationships, economic implications, and long-term strategic consequences of military policy decisions that could affect international stability and American interests for decades. The Defense Intelligence Agency assignment provided exposure to classified intelligence programs and strategic assessment capabilities that supported senior military leaders and civilian policymakers in addressing emerging threats and long-term strategic challenges. The analytical work required integration of information from multiple intelligence disciplines while providing timely assessments that informed resource allocation decisions, operational planning, and policy development at the highest levels of government. Professional relationships within the Pentagon environment included general officers, senior civilian officials, and representatives from other government agencies, whose experience and perspectives provided comprehensive understanding of how national security decisions were formulated and implemented across the federal government. These relationships created opportunities for mentorship and professional development, while demonstrating the complexity of interagency coordination required for effective national security policy implementation. The classification levels and security protocols governing Pentagon operations required absolute discretion and professional competence, while handling information that could affect national security and international relationships. The responsibility for maintaining security standards extended to every aspect of daily operations, while ensuring that classification requirements did not prevent effective analysis and timely reporting to senior decision-makers, who depended on accurate intelligence assessments for policy formulation. Strategic planning responsibilities included developing long-range assessments of potential threats and emerging challenges that could affect American military interests in Europe, Asia, and other regions where American forces maintained significant presence or commit. The analytical work required understanding historical context, cultural factors, and political dynamics, while providing recommendations for military planning and resource allocation that would maintain American strategic advantages and alliance relationships. During my second year at the Pentagon, emerging technological developments and changing geopolitical conditions created new analytical requirements that tested every aspect of my professional preparation and strategic thinking capability. The proliferation of advanced weapons systems, cyber warfare capabilities, and asymmetric threats required innovative analytical approaches, while maintaining focus on traditional military considerations that continued to affect regional stability and American interests. The analytical challenges demanded continuous education about emerging technologies, evolving threats, and changing operational environments, while developing expertise in specialized areas that complemented broader strategic knowledge and military experience. The professional development requirements included formal coursework, technical training, and interaction with civilian experts, whose knowledge provided essential context for understanding complex strategic challenges. Interagency coordination became increasingly important, as military operations required integration with diplomatic initiatives, economic policies, and intelligence operations conducted by other government agencies. Learning to work effectively within interagency environments required understanding institutional cultures, decision-making processes, and communication protocols that differed significantly from purely military organizations, while achieving common objectives. The strategic assessments produced during this assignment influenced military planning and resource allocation decisions that affected operations worldwide, while providing senior leaders with analytical foundation for policy development and international negotiation. The responsibility for producing accurate and timely analysis required exceptional attention to detail, while maintaining objectivity and analytical rigor under pressure from competing priorities and tight deadlines. Recognition for analytical excellence and strategic thinking led to selection for advanced civilian education at Harvard University, where I pursued doctoral studies in international relations while maintaining full-time military responsibility. The academic program provided opportunities for interaction with leading scholars and policy experts, while developing expertise in strategic studies that complemented operational experience and advanced military education. The doctoral research focused on intelligence support requirements for coalition operations and multinational military cooperation, reflecting the increasing importance of alliance relationships and international cooperation in addressing global security challenges. The academic work required extensive research and original analysis, while developing theoretical frameworks that could improve practical approaches to complex strategic problems. Academic performance at Harvard earned recognition for intellectual achievement and original research, while demonstrating analytical capabilities that complemented operational experience and military leadership background. The combination of advanced academic credentials and practical military experience created comprehensive preparation for senior leadership positions, requiring both strategic thinking and operational competence. The dissertation defense and graduation with academic distinction represented culmination of years of intensive study, while maintaining demanding professional responsibility. The doctoral degree provided intellectual credentials and analytical capabilities that would prove essential for advancement to senior leadership positions, requiring sophisticated understanding of complex strategic environments and policy implications. Following completion of doctoral studies, assignment to the Joint Staff provided exposure to joint service operations and strategic planning that affected military operations across all geographic regions and service components. The Joint Staff assignment required understanding inter-service relationships, resource allocation processes, and strategic communications, while supporting senior military leaders responsible for global military operations and strategic planning. The Joint Staff environment demanded exceptional professional competence and institutional knowledge, while working on issues that could affect military operations, worldwide and relationships with international partners and allies. The scope of responsibilities required understanding political considerations, economic implications, and diplomatic constraints, while developing military recommendations that supported broader national security objectives and policy initiatives. Strategic planning responsibilities included developing contingency plans for potential military operations, while coordinating with geographic combatant commands and functional commands responsible for implementing strategic guidance and operational directives. The planning process required integration of intelligence assessments, logistical considerations, and political constraints, while maintaining focus on military effectiveness and mission accomplishment under diverse operational conditions. Professional recognition during Joint Staff Assignment included evaluation reports that documented exceptional performance and strategic thinking, while recommending advancement to general officer rank and senior command position. The competitive selection process for promotion to brigadier general represented validation of sustained professional excellence, while creating opportunities for increased responsibility and broader scope of strategic leadership. The promotion ceremony to brigadier general marked a historic milestone as one of the youngest officers and few women to achieve general officer rank within the intelligence community. The advancement represented culmination of 20 years of sustained excellence, while establishing foundation for even greater responsibilities and strategic leadership positions that would affect military operations and national security policy at the highest level. Family reaction to promotion to general officer rank remained disappointingly lukewarm, as my parents continued to view military achievements through the lens of civilian career opportunities and financial considerations that reflected their fundamental understanding of what military service represented in terms of professional achievement and contribution to national security. Their inability to appreciate the significance of general officer rank demonstrated the persistent gap between military and civilian perspectives on career success and professional recognition. Christopher's reaction to my promotion reflected his business-oriented perspective on career advancement, as he calculated military compensation compared to civilian executive positions, while failing to understand the non-monetary aspects of military leadership and service that provided professional satisfaction and contribution to national security objectives. His financial analysis missed the essential elements of military service that transcended individual advancement and material reward. Elizabeth's response focused on social considerations and marriage prospects, as she worried that general officer rank would make me less attractive to potential spouses, while limiting opportunities for traditional family life that she considered essential for women's happiness and fulfillment. Her concerns reflected fundamental misunderstanding of modern military families and the professional relationships that developed through shared service and mutual commitment to institutional value. The strategic leadership responsibilities that accompanied general officer rank required understanding global military operations, alliance relationships, and policy implications, while providing guidance and direction for subordinate commanders and staff officers responsible for implementing strategic guidance across diverse operational environments. The scope of authority and responsibility exceeded anything encountered during previous assignments, while demanding sustained excellence and strategic thinking under constant scrutiny. Advanced military education opportunities available to general officers included the National War College, where senior military leaders and civilian officials studied strategic planning, national security policy, and international relations, while preparing for the most senior leadership positions within government and military service. The educational program emphasized strategic thinking, policy analysis, and interagency coordination, while providing opportunities for interaction with leaders from across government and international partners. The National War College curriculum combined academic study with practical exercises that simulated strategic decision-making and policy formulation under conditions that reflected real-world complexity and time constraints. The educational experience prepared senior leaders for positions requiring integration of military considerations with diplomatic, economic, and political factors, while maintaining focus on national security objectives and institutional effectiveness. Research projects during the War College program focused on emerging strategic challenges and innovative approaches to complex security problems that required integration of multiple disciplines and perspectives. The academic work provided opportunities for original analysis and policy recommendations, while contributing to institutional knowledge and strategic thinking within the national security community. Graduation from the National War College with academic distinction and selection for the most senior strategic leadership positions represented validation of intellectual capabilities and strategic thinking, while creating opportunities for positions that would influence military policy and strategic planning at the highest levels of government. The academic achievement complemented operational experience and command performance, while demonstrating comprehensive preparation for the most demanding leadership responsibilities. The foundation established through strategic assignments, advanced education, and general officer experience created preparation for the senior leadership positions that would follow, while building reputation and competence necessary for advancement to the highest levels of military leadership and strategic responsibilities that few officers ever achieve throughout their career. The assignment to command a brigade combat team in Afghanistan represented the culmination of 2 decades of military preparation and the ultimate test of leadership capabilities under the most demanding conditions imaginable. The promotion to brigadier general had provided strategic perspective and policy experience, but combat command would determine whether theoretical knowledge and peacetime leadership could translate into effective performance when soldier leaves and mission success depended entirely on command decisions made under extreme pressure and uncertainty. The 3rd Brigade Combat Team, 10th Mountain Division arrived in Afghanistan during the height of Operation Enduring Freedom, when Taliban insurgency had intensified throughout the mountainous regions of eastern Afghanistan, and coalition forces faced sophisticated enemy tactics that exploited difficult terrain and civilian populations to conduct asymmetric warfare against conventional military forces. The operational environment demanded innovative approaches to counterinsurgency operations, while maintaining focus on force protection and civilian casualty mitigation that would preserve local support for coalition objectives. Command of 4,000 soldiers across multiple forward operating bases required comprehensive understanding of tactical operations, logistical support, personnel management, and strategic communications, while coordinating with Afghan military forces, international coalition partners, and civilian agencies working to establish governance and economic development in contested territories. The scope of command responsibility exceeded anything encountered during previous assignments, while demanding sustained excellence under constant threat and operational pressure. The initial assessment of unit capabilities and operational readiness revealed strengths and weaknesses that would require immediate attention to ensure effective performance in the challenging Afghan operational environment. The soldiers possessed exceptional technical competence and tactical proficiency, but adapting to counterinsurgency operations required understanding cultural dynamics, language capability, and population-centric approaches that differed significantly from conventional military operations, for which they had primarily trained. Professional relationships with subordinate commanders became essential for effective command performance across geographically dispersed operations that required delegation of tactical authority while maintaining strategic coherence and mission focus. The battalion and company commanders possessed varying levels of experience and competence, requiring individualized leadership approaches that maximized their capabilities while ensuring consistent performance standards across all subordinate units. Cultural awareness training and language instruction became priority requirements for all personnel, as effective counterinsurgency operations demanded understanding of tribal relationships, religious consideration, and historical grievances that influenced local population attitudes toward coalition forces and Afghan government authority. The investment in cultural competence proved essential for building relationships with local leaders and distinguishing between legitimate civilians and insurgent operatives who exploited population cover. Intelligence operations under my command required sophisticated analytical capabilities and innovative collection methods
that could provide tactical warning and target identification while operating in terrain and cultural environments that challenged traditional intelligence approaches. The intelligence fusion process demanded integration of human intelligence sources, signals intelligence capabilities, and imagery analysis, while maintaining security protocols that protected sensitive sources and methods from compromise. Logistical challenges in the Afghan environment required creative solutions and adaptive procedures that maintained supply lines and equipment readiness despite difficult terrain, hostile threats, and infrastructure limitations that complicated standard military logistics procedures. The mountainous terrain and dispersed operating locations demanded innovative approaches to resupply operations, while ensuring that every forward position maintained adequate resources for sustained operations and emergency contingent. Force protection requirements demanded constant vigilance and sophisticated security procedures that minimized vulnerability to improvised explosive devices, indirect fire attacks, and infiltration attempts, while enabling freedom of movement necessary for effective counterinsurgency operations. The security measures required balancing protection requirements with operational effectiveness, while ensuring that force protection did not prevent meaningful interaction with civilian populations essential for mission success. Medical support capabilities became critically important when combat operations resulted in wounded soldiers requiring immediate treatment and evacuation under conditions that challenged medical protocols and evacuation procedures designed for conventional warfare scenarios. The medical challenges demanded coordination with specialized units and coalition partners, while ensuring that every soldier received appropriate treatment regardless of operational circumstances or tactical situations. During the first major combat operation under my command, insurgent forces launched coordinated attacks against multiple forward operating bases, while attempting to isolate coalition forces from civilian populations through intimidation and propaganda campaigns designed to undermine local support for coalition objectives. The tactical situation required immediate response, while coordinating defensive operations across dispersed locations that stretched communication capabilities and demanded innovative command and control procedures. The tactical response demonstrated the effectiveness of training and preparation while revealing areas requiring additional development and refinement under actual combat conditions. The coordination between ground forces, aviation support, and indirect fire systems achieved tactical success while minimizing civilian casualties and infrastructure damage that could have undermined long-term strategic objectives and local population support. Casualty management during combat operations tested every aspect of leadership preparation and personal resilience, while demanding decisions that balanced mission requirements with soldier welfare under conditions where competing priorities created moral and practical dilemmas that required immediate resolution. The responsibility for soldier lives created emotional pressures that exceeded anything encountered during training or peacetime operations, while demanding sustained command effectiveness under extreme stress. The successful completion of major combat operations earned recognition for tactical innovation and leadership effectiveness, while validating training and preparation that had preceded deployment to this challenging operational environment. The unit performance demonstrated exceptional competence and cohesion, while establishing reputation for tactical excellence that would influence future mission assignments and strategic importance. Strategic communications became increasingly important as media attention and political oversight created requirements for explaining military operations and their strategic significance to audiences who lacked understanding of tactical complexities and operational constraints that affected command decisions. The communication responsibilities required balancing operational security with public information requirements, while maintaining focus on mission accomplishment and strategic objectives. Counterinsurgency operations required understanding population dynamics and governance challenges that extended far beyond traditional military considerations to encompass economic development, infrastructure improvement, institutional capacity building that would create lasting stability and legitimate government authority. The comprehensive approach demanded coordination with civilian agencies and international organizations, whose capabilities complemented military operations, while pursuing common strategic objectives. Relationships with Afghan military and police forces required patience and cultural sensitivity, while building institutional capabilities that would enable Afghan forces to maintain security and governance without indefinite coalition support. The advisory responsibilities demanded understanding of Afghan military culture and capabilities, while providing training and resources that would create sustainable security institutions. The training and mentoring of Afghan officers became a personal priority that required significant time investment, while building relationships that would outlast American military presence and create foundation for long-term partnership between American and Afghan military institutions. The mentoring relationships provided insights into Afghan perspectives and challenges, while demonstrating the complexity of building effective military institutions in post-conflict environment. International coalition coordination required diplomatic skills and cultural awareness that enabled effective cooperation with military forces from different nations, whose capabilities, procedure, and strategic objectives varied significantly from American approaches to counterinsurgency operations. The multinational environment demanded flexibility and communication skills, while maintaining unity of effort toward common strategic goals. Advanced tactical innovations, developed during combat operations, included integration of unmanned aerial systems with ground operations, innovative use of intelligence capabilities for targeting and force protection, and adaptive approaches to patrol operations that maximized effectiveness while minimizing risk to coalition forces and civilian population. The tactical innovations contributed to broader institutional learning, while demonstrating the importance of adaptive leadership under challenging operational conditions. Recognition for combat leadership included awards for valor and tactical excellence, while earning evaluation reports documented exceptional performance under the most demanding conditions, and recommended advancement to senior command positions, requiring greater responsibility and strategic scope. The competitive evaluation process validated combat performance, while creating opportunities for positions that would influence military policy and strategic planning at national level. The post-deployment transition required managing unit reintegration while addressing individual needs that had emerged during combat operations, and ensuring that lessons learned were incorporated into institutional training and doctrine development. The reintegration process demanded attention to family reunification, individual counseling, and professional development, while maintaining unit readiness for future deployment requirements. Family communication during combat deployment remained limited due to operational security requirements and communication constraints. But the few conversations that occurred revealed continued skepticism about military service, despite recognition that combat command represented significant professional achievement. The family's inability to understand the strategic importance of military leadership in Afghanistan reflected their persistent focus on civilian career opportunities rather than appreciation for military service and national security contributions. Christopher's response to my combat deployment focused on financial considerations and career advancement opportunities that I was potentially missing through military service, rather than recognition of the leadership, responsibilities, and strategic importance of counterinsurgency operations. His business perspective prevented understanding of non-monetary aspects of military achievement and service that provided professional satisfaction beyond financial compensation. Elizabeth's concerns centered on personal safety and marriage prospects, as she worried that combat deployment would affect my attractiveness to potential spouses, while reinforcing her belief that military service was incompatible with traditional family life and social expectations for women from our background. Her perspective reflected fundamental understanding of modern military families and the professional relationships that military service created. The combat leadership experience established foundation for advancement to senior strategic positions, while building reputation for tactical excellence and innovative approaches to complex operational challenges. The successful command performance under demanding conditions validated preparation and capabilities while creating opportunities for positions that would affect military policy and strategic planning at the highest levels of institutional leadership. Looking toward future assignments and increased responsibilities, the combat experience provided essential understanding of operational realities and leadership challenges that would inform strategic decision-making and policy development throughout remaining military service. The combination of tactical competence, strategic thinking, and proven leadership under pressure created comprehensive preparation for the most senior leadership positions within American military institutions.
The assignment to the Joint Chiefs of Staff represented the pinnacle of military strategic leadership, where the most senior military officers in the United States provided counsel to the President, Secretary of Defense, and National Security Council on matters affecting global military operations and national defense policy. The promotion to Major General and subsequent selection for this elite strategic position occurred during a period of unprecedented international complexity, when emerging threats and shifting geopolitical relationships required innovative strategic thinking and comprehensive understanding of military capabilities across all domains of warfare. The Joint Chiefs environment demanded exceptional intellectual capabilities and institutional knowledge, while working on issues that could affect military operations worldwide and relationships with international partners whose cooperation was essential for addressing global security challenges. The scope of responsibilities required understanding political considerations, economic implications, and diplomatic constraints, while developing military recommendations that supported broader national security objectives and foreign policy initiatives across multiple geographic regions and functional areas. Strategic planning responsibilities within the Joint Chiefs structure included developing long-range military strategies that integrated land, sea, air, space, and cyber capabilities, while addressing emerging threats that challenge traditional approaches to national defense and international security cooperation. The planning process required synthesis of intelligence assessments, technological developments, and resource constraints, while maintaining focus on strategic objectives that transcended individual service interests and regional consideration. Professional relationships at the Joint Chiefs level included the most senior military leaders from each service branch, whose experience and perspectives provided comprehensive understanding of joint operations and inter-service coordination required for effective strategic planning and resource allocation. These relationships created opportunities for institutional learning and strategic development, while demonstrating the complexity of achieving unity of effort across service cultures and operational approaches that had evolved through decades of separate development. The analytical challenges at this strategic level demanded continuous education about emerging technologies, evolving threats, and changing operational environments, while developing expertise in specialized areas that complemented broader strategic knowledge and extensive military experience. The professional development requirements included interaction with civilian experts, academic institutions, and international military leaders, whose knowledge provided essential context for understanding complex strategic challenges that affected American interests and alliance relationships. Interagency coordination became increasingly complex as military strategies required integration with diplomatic initiatives, economic policy, and intelligence operations conducted by multiple government agencies, whose capabilities and objectives sometimes conflicted with military recommendations and resource requirements. Learning to navigate interagency environments required understanding institutional cultures, decision-making processes, and communication protocols, while achieving strategic coherence across government approaches to national security challenges. During the first year of Joint Chiefs assignment, emerging cyber warfare capabilities and space-based threats created new strategic requirements that tested every aspect of existing military doctrine and strategic planning process. The technological developments required innovative analytical approaches, while maintaining focus on traditional military considerations that continued to affect regional stability and American strategic advantages in conventional warfare scenarios. Strategic assessments, produced during this assignment, influenced military planning and resource allocation decisions that affected operations across all geographic combatant commands, while providing senior leaders with analytical foundation for policy development and international negotiation. The responsibility for producing accurate and comprehensive analysis required exceptional attention to detail, while maintaining objectivity and strategic perspective under pressure from competing priorities and political consideration. Nuclear weapons policy and strategic deterrence became areas of particular expertise and responsibility, as evolving international relationships and emerging nuclear capabilities required constant reassessment of American nuclear doctrine and strategic communication with potential adversaries and allied nations. The complexity of nuclear strategy demanded understanding of technical capabilities, political implications, and psychological factors that influenced strategic stability and crisis management in scenarios involving weapons of mass destruction. Alliance relationships and coalition operations required sophisticated understanding of partner nation capabilities, political constraints, and strategic objectives, while developing military strategies that maximized collective capabilities and maintained unity of effort across diverse national interests and operational approach. The diplomatic aspects of military strategy demanded cultural awareness and communication skills that enabled effective cooperation with international partners, whose support was essential for addressing global security challenges. Strategic communications became critically important as military recommendations and policy decisions faced constant scrutiny from congressional oversight, media attention, and public opinion that could affect political support for military operations and defense spending. The communication responsibilities required balancing operational security with transparency requirements, while explaining complex strategic concepts to audiences who lacked military experience and understanding of strategic planning process. Advanced strategic planning exercises and wargaming scenarios provided opportunities for testing military strategies and decision-making processes under simulated conditions that reflected potential crisis situations and conflict scenarios. The analytical exercises required integration of multiple variables and consideration of second and third-order effects, while developing strategies that could adapt to changing conditions and unexpected developments during actual crisis situations. The promotion to lieutenant general during the second year of Joint Chiefs assignment reflected exceptional performance and strategic thinking, while creating opportunities for increased responsibility within the strategic planning process. The advancement represented validation of analytical capabilities and leadership potential, while establishing foundation for consideration for the most senior strategic leadership positions within American military institutions. Technology integration and military innovation became priority areas of focus as emerging capabilities in artificial intelligence, autonomous systems, and advanced materials created opportunities for military applications, while requiring new approaches to doctrine development and operational planning. The technological challenges demanded understanding of research and development processes, while maintaining focus on practical applications that could enhance military effectiveness and strategic advantage. Resource allocation and defense budget planning required understanding of complex relationships between strategic requirements, technological capabilities, and political constraints that affected military spending and program priority. The budget process demanded analytical skills and institutional knowledge, while maintaining focus on strategic objectives that transcended individual service interests and short-term political consideration. International military education and exchange programs provided opportunities for building relationships with foreign military leaders, while developing understanding of international perspectives on global security challenges and military cooperation. The educational initiatives created foundation for long-term strategic partnerships, while demonstrating American commitment to international cooperation and alliance relationships. Strategic doctrine development required synthesis of historical analysis, current operational experience, and emerging technological capabilities, while creating guidance for military operations and planning processes across all levels of command. The doctrine development process demanded intellectual rigor and practical understanding, while producing guidance that would influence military thinking and operational approaches for decades. Crisis management and contingency planning became increasingly important, as international instability and emerging threats created requirements for rapid military response and flexible strategic options that could address diverse scenarios without escalating to major conflict. The crisis planning process required understanding of political objectives, military capabilities, and diplomatic constraints, while developing options that provided decision-makers with strategic flexibility during time-sensitive situations. Congressional testimony and legislative liaison responsibilities required effective communication with elected officials whose understanding of military issues varied significantly while maintaining professional objectivity and institutional loyalty during politically sensitive discussions about defense policy and military operations. The congressional relationships demanded diplomatic skills and strategic communication while supporting legislative processes that affected military capabilities and strategic planning. International security cooperation and arms control negotiations required understanding of complex technical issues and strategic implications, while representing American military interests in discussions with international partners and potential adversaries. The negotiation responsibilities demanded specialized knowledge and strategic thinking, while maintaining focus on agreements that enhanced American security and alliance relationships. Advanced military education opportunities at this strategic level included interaction with senior civilian officials, academic experts, and international leaders, whose experience provided broader perspectives on strategic challenges and policy development process. The educational experiences contributed to intellectual development, while building networks that would prove valuable throughout remaining military service and potential civilian position. Family communication during this period reflected growing recognition of my professional achievements despite continued misunderstanding of what military service represented in terms of strategic importance and national security contribution. The family's gradual acknowledgement of my senior leadership position occurred without full appreciation of the responsibilities and strategic significance of Joint Chiefs assignment and its implications for future advancement opportunity. Christopher's perspective began to shift as business associates and clients expressed recognition of military leadership achievements and their strategic importance for national security and international relations. His newfound appreciation reflected external validation rather than personal understanding of military service, but represented progress toward family recognition of professional accomplishments and strategic leadership responsibility. Elizabeth's concerns about marriage and family life began to evolve as she observed successful military families and recognized that senior military positions attracted rather than repelled potential partners who valued achievement, leadership, and service to national interests. Her changing perspective reflected growing understanding of modern military culture and family relationships that differed from traditional stereotypes and social expectations. The strategic leadership experience at the Joint Chiefs level established foundation for consideration for the most senior military positions, while building reputation for innovative thinking and comprehensive understanding of global strategic challenge. The successful performance at this level of responsibility validated decades of preparation, while creating opportunities for advancement to positions that few military officers ever achieve throughout their career. Looking toward potential future assignments and the possibility of even greater responsibility, the Joint Chiefs experience provided essential understanding of strategic decision-making processes and policy development that would inform leadership, approaches, and strategic thinking throughout any future positions within military or civilian strategic leadership role. The appointment as Supreme Allied Commander Europe represented the apex of international military leadership, where the responsibilities extended far beyond American military operations to encompass the strategic defense coordination of 30 member nations, whose collective security depended upon unified command structure and integrated operational capability. The position required exceptional diplomatic skills alongside military expertise, as effective leadership of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization demanded understanding of diverse national interests, political constraint, and military capabilities, while maintaining strategic coherence across alliance structures that had evolved through decades of collective defense cooperation. The promotion to full general accompanied this historic appointment, making me the youngest officer and first woman to achieve 4-star rank within the intelligence community,
while assuming responsibility for military operations that could affect global stability and transatlantic relationships. The advancement represented validation of sustained excellence across diverse assignments, while establishing unprecedented precedent for female leadership within the highest echelons of international military command structure. NATO headquarters in Brussels provided the strategic environment where alliance politics intersected with military planning to create comprehensive defense strategies that balanced national sovereignty with collective security requirements. The multinational staff included senior military officers from every member nation, whose expertise and perspectives provided comprehensive understanding of regional threats, national capability, and political considerations that influenced alliance decision-making and resource allocation processes. Strategic planning responsibilities encompassed threat assessment across multiple geographic regions, from the Arctic approaches to the Mediterranean basin, while addressing emerging challenges in cyber warfare, space-based operations, and hybrid threats that challenge traditional alliance concepts and defense planning assumptions. The complexity of modern threats required innovative approaches to collective defense while maintaining interoperability standards that enabled effective coordination across diverse national military systems and operational procedure. Professional relationships at the alliance level demanded exceptional cultural awareness and diplomatic sensitivity, while building consensus among military leaders whose national backgrounds, strategic perspectives, and political constraints varied significantly across the membership spectrum. The leadership challenge required understanding individual nation capabilities and limitations while developing unified strategies that maximized collective effectiveness without compromising national interest or political sustainability within member government. Intelligence coordination became particularly complex within the alliance structure, as information sharing protocols and classification systems required harmonization across national intelligence services, whose procedures and security standards differed substantially from American practices. The intelligence challenges demanded innovative approaches to multinational analysis, while protecting sensitive sources and methods that individual nations considered essential for their national security interest and strategic planning requirements. During the initial assessment of alliance capabilities and readiness levels, significant disparities emerged between member nation defense spending, military modernization program, and operational readiness standards that affected collective defense effectiveness and burden-sharing arrangements within the alliance structure. The capability gaps required diplomatic approaches to defense planning, while encouraging increased national investments in military modernization and training programs that would enhance overall alliance effectiveness. Crisis management procedures within NATO required sophisticated coordination mechanisms that could respond rapidly to emerging threats, while maintaining political consultation processes that preserved alliance unity and member nation sovereignty. The command structure demanded balancing military efficiency with political consensus building, while ensuring that crisis response capabilities could address diverse threat scenarios without compromising alliance cohesion or strategic effectiveness. Cyber warfare defense coordination represented entirely new challenge for alliance operations, as digital threats transcended traditional geographic boundaries, while requiring unprecedented cooperation between military and civilian authorities across member nations. The Cyber Defense Initiative demanded innovative organizational structures and operational procedures, while establishing protocols for collective response to attacks against critical infrastructure and government systems that supported alliance security and economic stability. Training and exercise programs became essential tools for building interoperability and collective effectiveness across alliance forces, whose equipment, procedures, and tactical approaches had developed through separate national evolution. The exercise schedule required careful coordination to accommodate national training priorities, while creating opportunities for multinational cooperation that enhanced operational readiness and strategic understanding among diverse military cultures and operational philosophy. Resource allocation and defense procurement coordination required understanding complex relationships between national defense budgets, industrial capabilities, and political considerations that affected member nation participation in collective defense programs. The procurement challenges demanded strategic communication and diplomatic engagement, while encouraging standardization initiatives that would reduce costs and enhance interoperability across alliance, military systems, and operational capability. Strategic communications became critically important as alliance policies and military operations faced constant scrutiny from diverse national media, political opposition parties, and public opinion across member nations, whose support was essential for maintaining political sustainability of collective defense commitment. The communication responsibilities required cultural sensitivity and multilingual capabilities, while explaining complex strategic concepts to audiences whose understanding of alliance operations and strategic objectives varied significantly across national and regional boundaries. Partnership programs with non-NATO nations required sophisticated understanding of regional dynamics and bilateral relationships, while expanding alliance influence and cooperation beyond formal membership structure. The partnership initiatives created opportunities for enhanced security cooperation, while managing expectations and political sensitivities among nations whose strategic interests and capabilities differed from established alliance members and operational procedure. Nuclear strategy coordination within the alliance structure demanded exceptional sensitivity and strategic understanding, while maintaining extended deterrence commitments that provided security assurance for member nations without independent nuclear capability. The nuclear planning responsibilities required technical expertise and political awareness, while preserving alliance unity on issues that affected fundamental security relationships and strategic stability across the transatlantic partnership. Counterterrorism cooperation became increasingly important as terrorist threats evolved to exploit alliance territory and target civilian populations across member nations, whose security required coordinated intelligence sharing and operational cooperation. The counterterrorism initiatives demanded balancing operational effectiveness with civil liberties considerations, while maintaining legal frameworks that protected democratic values and constitutional principles across diverse political systems and legal traditions. Regional engagement strategies required understanding complex relationships between alliance interests and broader international security concerns, and areas where NATO operations intersected with other international organizations and regional security arrangements. The strategic coordination demanded diplomatic skills and institutional knowledge, while maintaining alliance credibility and effectiveness, and addressing security challenges that affected member nation interests and international stability. Military innovation and capability development programs required coordination between national research and development initiatives, while identifying emerging technologies that could enhance alliance defensive capabilities and strategic advantage. The innovation challenges demanded understanding scientific and technological trends, while maintaining industrial cooperation that preserved national capabilities and promoted collective advancement and critical defense technologies and operational systems. Strategic planning for potential conflict scenarios required exceptional analytical capabilities and comprehensive understanding of military operations, while developing contingency plans that could address diverse threat situations without escalating to major warfare. The planning process demanded integration of political objectives, military capabilities, and diplomatic constraints, while creating strategic options that provided alliance leadership with flexibility during crisis situations and emerging security challenges. Congressional testimony and legislative coordination with member nation parliaments required effective communication across diverse political systems, while maintaining professional objectivity during politically sensitive discussions about alliance policies and military operations. The parliamentary relationships demanded understanding different democratic traditions and political processes, while supporting legislative oversight that strengthened alliance accountability and democratic legitimacy across member nations. International security cooperation beyond the alliance structure required building relationships with military leaders from non-member nations, whose cooperation was essential for addressing global security challenges that affected alliance interests and international stability. The broader security relationships demanded strategic thinking and diplomatic engagement, while expanding alliance influence and promoting democratic values through military cooperation and professional military education programs. Advanced strategic education and professional development opportunities at this level included interaction with heads of government, defense ministers, and senior civilian officials whose decisions affected alliance policies and strategic direction. The educational experiences provided broader perspectives on international relations and strategic challenges, while building networks that enhanced alliance effectiveness and international cooperation in addressing global security concerns. Family recognition of professional achievements began to evolve significantly as international media coverage and diplomatic attention highlighted the historic nature of my appointment and its strategic importance for alliance leadership and international security cooperation. The external validation created growing appreciation within family circles for military achievements that had previously been dismissed or misunderstood as temporary career choices without lasting significance or strategic importance. Christopher's perspective transformed dramatically as business associates and international clients expressed recognition of alliance leadership achievements and their implications for transatlantic economic relationships and international stability. His evolving understanding reflected external validation and professional recognition rather than personal appreciation for military service, but represented substantial progress toward family acknowledgement of strategic leadership accomplishments and their broader significance. Concerns about military service and its implications for personal relationships began to shift as diplomatic and social circles provided exposure to successful military families and international couples whose relationships had been enhanced rather than hindered by military service and strategic leadership responsibilities. Her changing perspective reflected growing understanding of modern military culture and its compatibility with successful personal relationships and family stability. The Supreme Allied Commander experience established foundation for consideration for the most senior strategic positions within American military leadership, while building international reputation for innovative thinking and exceptional leadership capabilities under complex multinational operational conditions. The successful performance at this unprecedented level of responsibility validated decades of preparation while creating opportunities for advancement to positions that represented the absolute pinnacle of military achievement and strategic leadership responsibility. The appointment as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff represented the culmination of 30 years of military service and the achievement of the highest military position within the United States Armed Forces. The selection process had been extraordinarily competitive, involving extensive evaluation by the Secretary of Defense, comprehensive review by the President and National Security Council, and rigorous confirmation proceedings before the United States Senate. The appointment established unprecedented historical significance as the first woman to serve as the principal military advisor to the President, as Secretary of Defense, and National Security Council, while commanding the respect and confidence of military leadership across all service branches. The responsibilities inherent in this position encompassed strategic oversight of all United States military operations worldwide, coordination of defense policy implementation across geographic and functional combatant command, and provision of military counsel on matters affecting national security strategy and international relationships. The scope of authority extended beyond traditional military considerations to include comprehensive understanding of diplomatic implications, economic factors, and political constraints that influenced strategic decision-making at the highest levels of government. The transition from Supreme Allied Commander to Chairman required adaptation from multinational alliance coordination to singular focus on American military interests and strategic objectives, while maintaining awareness of international relationships and alliance commitments that remained essential for effective global security cooperation. The change in perspective demanded understanding of distinctly American strategic priorities, while preserving the diplomatic skills and international relationships that had proven essential for effective alliance leadership and multinational military operations. Strategic planning responsibility at chairman level encompassed development of comprehensive military strategies that integrated capability across all warfare domains, while addressing emerging threats that challenged traditional defense planning assumptions and operational concepts. The planning process required synthesis of intelligence assessments from multiple agencies, technological developments across diverse research programs, and resource constraints that affected capability development, and force structure decisions across all military services and special operations commands. Professional relationships with service chiefs, combatant commanders, and senior defense officials demanded exceptional leadership skills and institutional knowledge, while building consensus among strong-willed leaders whose service-specific perspectives and operational experiences sometimes conflicted with joint requirements and strategic objectives. The leadership challenge required understanding individual service cultures and capabilities, while developing unified approaches to complex strategic challenges that transcended traditional service boundaries and operational responsibility.
Congressional testimony and legislative oversight responsibilities became particularly demanding as the senior military spokesperson for defense policy and strategic planning decisions that affected national security spending, force structure development, and military operations across multiple theaters of operation. The congressional relationships required effective communication of complex strategic concepts while maintaining professional objectivity during politically sensitive discussions about defense priorities and resource allocation decisions that affected military readiness and strategic capabilities. Crisis management and strategic decision-making processes at this level demanded exceptional analytical capabilities and comprehensive understanding of military options, while providing timely counsel to senior civilian leaders during time-sensitive situations that could affect national security, interests, and international relationships. The crisis response responsibilities required integration of military capabilities with diplomatic initiatives and economic considerations, while maintaining strategic flexibility and preserving decision-maker options during rapidly evolving situations. National security strategy development required coordination with other government agencies and departments whose capabilities and objectives were essential for comprehensive approaches to strategic challenges that exceeded purely military solutions. The interagency coordination demanded understanding of institutional cultures and decision-making processes across the federal government, while achieving strategic coherence and unity of effort in addressing complex national security challenges that required sustained government commitment and resource allocation. Intelligence oversight and strategic assessment responsibilities encompassed review of classified programs and analytical products that supported strategic planning and operational decision-making across all levels of military command. The intelligence responsibilities required understanding of collection capabilities, analytical methodologies, and security protocols, while ensuring that intelligence support met strategic requirements and provided timely assessment of emerging threats and operational opportunity. Technology integration and military innovation oversight required understanding of research and development programs across all military services, while identifying emerging capabilities that could enhance strategic advantages and operational effectiveness. The technology responsibilities demanded coordination with civilian research institutions, defense contractors, and international partners, whose contributions were essential for maintaining technological superiority and strategic competitiveness in a rapidly evolving threat environment. Resource allocation and defense budget coordination required comprehensive understanding of complex relationships between strategic requirements, capability development programs, and political constraints that affected military spending priorities and force structure decisions. The budget responsibilities demanded analytical skills and strategic thinking while maintaining focus on long-term strategic objectives that transcended immediate political considerations and short-term operational requirements. International military cooperation and alliance coordination remained essential responsibilities despite the shift from direct alliance command to broader strategic oversight of American military relationships with international partners. The international responsibilities required maintaining diplomatic relationships and strategic partnerships while ensuring that bilateral and multilateral military cooperation supported American strategic objectives and enhanced collective security capability. Strategic communications and public affairs coordination became increasingly complex as military recommendations and policy decisions faced constant scrutiny from media organizations, congressional oversight committees, and public opinion that could affect political support for defense policies and military operations. The communication responsibilities required balancing operational security requirements with transparency expectations, while explaining complex strategic concepts to diverse audiences whose understanding of military affairs and strategic planning varied significantly. Nuclear weapons policy and strategic deterrence oversight represented particularly sensitive responsibilities that required exceptional understanding of technical capabilities, strategic implications, and political considerations that affected nuclear doctrine and crisis management procedure. The nuclear responsibilities demanded coordination with civilian agencies and international partners while maintaining strategic stability and extended deterrence commitments that provided security assurance for allied nations and regional partners. Force structure development and military modernization oversight required comprehensive understanding of emerging threats, technological development, and resource constraints, while developing force structure recommendations that maintained strategic capabilities and operational readiness across diverse mission requirements. The force development responsibilities demanded integration of current operational experience with future threat assessments, while ensuring that military capabilities remained relevant and effective in rapidly evolving strategic environment. Professional military education oversight and institutional development required understanding of educational requirements and leadership development programs that prepared military officers for increasing responsibilities and complex strategic challenges. The educational responsibilities encompassed review of curricula, faculty development, and institutional capabilities, while ensuring that professional military education remained relevant and effective in preparing leaders for contemporary strategic challenges and operational requirements. Strategic planning for potential conflict scenarios required exceptional analytical capabilities and comprehensive understanding of military operations, while developing contingency plans that could address diverse threat situations without unnecessarily escalating regional tensions or compromise diplomatic initiatives. The contingency planning process demanded integration of political objectives, military capabilities, and alliance considerations, while creating strategic options that provided national leadership with flexibility during crisis situations. Joint operations. Inter-service coordination required understanding of service-specific capabilities and limitations, while ensuring that joint operational concepts and integration procedures maximized collective effectiveness across diverse mission requirements and operational environments. The joint responsibilities demanded balancing service autonomy with integration requirements, while maintaining operational readiness and strategic effectiveness across all warfare domains and geographic regions. Special operations oversight and unconventional warfare coordination required understanding of specialized capabilities and operational requirements, while ensuring that special operations forces remained integrated with conventional military operations and strategic objectives. The special operations responsibilities demanded appreciation for unique operational constraints and political sensitivities, while maintaining strategic coherence and operational effectiveness across diverse mission requirements and geographic areas. Homeland defense coordination and domestic support operations required understanding of legal constraints and civil-military relationships, while ensuring that military capabilities remained available for domestic emergency response and homeland security missions without compromising overseas operational commitments or violating the constitutional principles that governed military operations within United States territory. Strategic assessment and future planning responsibilities encompassed analysis of long-term trends and emerging challenges that could affect American strategic interests and military requirements over extended time horizons. The strategic analysis demanded understanding of demographic changes, technological developments, and geopolitical trends, while developing recommendations for capability development and strategic planning that would maintain American strategic advantages and alliance relationships. Family recognition of professional achievements reached unprecedented levels as media coverage and political attention highlighted the historic nature of the appointment and its strategic significance for American military leadership and national security policy. The external validation created complete transformation in family understanding and appreciation for military accomplishments that had previously been dismissed as temporary career choices without lasting importance or strategic significance. Christopher experienced fundamental shift in perspective as business associates, clients, and international contacts expressed profound recognition of strategic leadership achievements and their implications for American military capabilities and international security relationships. His evolving understanding reflected growing appreciation for strategic importance of military leadership and its contributions to national security and international stability that transcended financial considerations and civilian career comparisons. Elizabeth demonstrated complete transformation into understanding as diplomatic circles, social organizations, and community leaders provided exposure to the strategic significance of military leadership and its compatibility with successful personal relationships and family responsibility. Her changed perspective reflected comprehensive recognition of modern military culture and its enhancement, rather than limitation of personal fulfillment and social recognition. The chairman appointment established foundation for consideration for even greater recognition and strategic responsibility while building comprehensive reputation for exceptional leadership capabilities and innovative strategic thinking that had consistently exceeded expectations across diverse assignments and increasingly complex operational environments. The crisis that would define my tenure as chairman of the Joint Chiefs began with intelligence reports indicating unprecedented military activity across multiple Pacific Theater locations, suggesting coordinated aggressive actions that threatened regional stability and challenged existing security arrangements between the United States and its Pacific allies. The emerging situation demanded immediate strategic assessment and comprehensive response planning, while managing complex diplomatic relationships and alliance commitments that could affect global security architecture and international economic stability. The intelligence assessments revealed sophisticated coordination between hostile forces across diverse geographic locations, indicating planning capabilities and strategic objectives that exceeded previous threat estimates and challenged existing contingency plans developed for regional security scenarios. The threat analysis required integration of signals intelligence, human intelligence sources, and imagery analysis, while coordinating with allied intelligence services, whose capabilities and perspectives provided essential context for understanding the scope and strategic implications of emerging hostile activities. Strategic planning sessions with combatant commanders, service chiefs, and senior defense officials required rapid development of military response options, while maintaining coordination with diplomatic initiatives and economic measures that could address the crisis through comprehensive government approaches rather than purely military solutions. The planning process demanded integration of diverse military capabilities across multiple theaters while preserving strategic flexibility and maintaining alliance relationships, essential for effective collective response to regional threats. Congressional briefings and coordination legislative leadership became essential components of crisis management, as the severity of emerging threats required political support for military response options and resource allocation decisions that could affect long-term defense capabilities and strategic relationships. The congressional communications demanded careful balance between operational security requirements and legislative oversight responsibilities, while building political consensus for strategic decisions that transcended partisan considerations and immediate political calculation. International coordination with Pacific allies required sophisticated diplomatic engagement and military consultation, while developing collective response strategies that maximized Allied capabilities and maintained unity of effort across diverse national interests and political constraints. The alliance coordination demanded understanding of individual nation capabilities, political limitations, and strategic objectives, while building consensus for military cooperation that could address regional threats without escalating to major conflict scenarios. Presidential briefings and National Security Council consultation provided opportunities for Strategic Council on military options, while ensuring that civilian leadership understood operational capabilities, resource requirements, and strategic implications of potential military responses to emerging threats. The policy coordination required effective communication of complex military concepts, while maintaining professional objectivity and strategic perspective during high-pressure decision-making processes that could affect national security interests and international relations. Crisis management procedures required coordination between geographic combatant commands, functional command supporting agencies, while maintaining operational security and strategic communications that prevented adversary exploitation of American military activities and strategic planning processes. The command coordination demanded understanding of diverse operational capabilities and geographic constraints, while ensuring unity of effort across complex military operations that could span multiple theaters and operational domains. Intelligence coordination with civilian agencies and international partners became critically important as the crisis evolved to encompass cyber warfare, economic disruption, and information operations that challenged traditional military response concepts and required comprehensive government approaches to effective crisis resolution. The intelligence integration demanded innovative analytical approaches while maintaining security protocols that protected sensitive sources and methods from compromise or exploitation during extended crisis operations. Naval operations coordination across the Pacific theater required unprecedented integration of surface warfare, submarine operations, and aviation capabilities, while maintaining freedom of navigation and protecting sea lanes, essential for international commerce and allied security. The naval planning demanded understanding of maritime geography, operational logistics, and international maritime law, while developing operational concepts that could address diverse threat scenarios without unnecessarily escalating regional tensions or compromising diplomatic initiative. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.